G'day guys, Dave here from Enerdrive. We're on our way south down Main Beach at Fraser Island, and of course with the tide up, Eli Creek's a no-go zone at the moment. What better time to present another great product with Enerdrive? And this time I'd like to introduce to you guys the ePower range of battery chargers, available in 12 volt charging options, 20 amp, 40 amp, 60 amp. You can also parallel those 60s together, creating a massive 120 amps of battery charging capacity. Some of you may ask, when on earth would you need to do that? Well, I assure you, there's lots of guys out there, particularly in the marine sector. There's a huge demand for large output charging solutions. ePower have got that covered by paralleling two 60 amp chargers together and maximizing efficiency, or should I say redundancy. Should any component fail, it happens to the best of us, you won't lose 100% of your charging output. You've still got a 60 amp charger to keep the system alive until you get the problem rectified. You can't get much better than that. 24 volt chargers also available as a 30 amp charger, and yes, you can parallel them together as well, achieving a 60 amp output at 24 volts. These chargers are hugely efficient. They're fantastic. We gain this efficiency through power factor correction, and Enerdrive have mastered that remarkably well. Making it short and simple, a 40 amp 12 volt battery charger will comfortably run off a Honda EU10i. Now, for those that aren't in the know, that's amazing. There's a lot of chargers out there, smaller in output than this particular charger, less than 40 amps, that simply will not run on that generator. But this one does. Why is that a big deal? Well, I'll tell you. Most people who are using these chargers and relying on generators are also relying on their generator for other loads. Now that could be as simple as running air conditioning. It typically is air conditioning. Now if you've got a 2 kVA Honda or a 2.2 or any other generator around those sorts of sizes, and you're trying to run a 40 amp charger at the same time as starting up aircon, and it starts up every time it cycles on and off, it's not just the first time you turn it on, you're going to run into problems. With these chargers, you've got the best possible opportunity of basically enjoying easy use, no hassles, no need to turn the charger off before you start the air conditioning. If you don't want to run aircon, but you do travel, for instance, up north, and you simply need the ability to run the battery charger in remote locations via Jenny, a little generator like that will do it, thanks to the efficiency, the power factor correction built into these particular chargers. So I'd like to just start this generator up now, and I'm just going to show you what it can do. This generator running at the moment, a Honda EU10i, we're still able to punch out 40 amps per hour feeding this BTEC battery, and it'll do that all day long until it goes to float. It's quite impressive in that regard. While we're up close, let's go through some of the setup and some of the special features of this particular product. You'll notice here that you've got a menu button, a set button and a silent button. If we just go ahead and press that menu button and hold it down, we've got our menu at the top scrolling through. There's just flashing. Now we can select that if we wish to, and we can go across to program, gel, AGM battery, flooded battery. In this case, we've got lithium battery. Let's just assume that we want to duck into an AGM battery. That's certainly going to be the most common application, and we can set that. Now I don't want my output to be 40 amps. I bought a 40 amp charger in this case to future-proof my system in case I add to my battery bank, but I've only got, let's say for instance, a 100 amp battery. So if we just hit the select button, we can bring that to make it a 10 amp output charger, 20 amp output, it doesn't matter, whatever you require. In this case, we can leave it at 40 amps, or we can go back down. So let's go 20 amps in this case, so we can hit set there. Our setting's an interesting feature which I'd like to add a little bit more clarity in a few moments when we turn that generator off. But at this point I'm going to leave that L6 will be perfect for us. And I'd like it to be a 3-stage charger. For those that require it, you do have the option to bring it back to a 2-stage charger. Effectively, when the absorption stage is finished and the battery is full, the charger will switch off. It won't remain on float, but I'd much prefer my charger to stay in float mode, so that's what I'm going to do there, and I set that. It's that easy. Normal for the temperature sensor, yes, we opt to use our temperature sensor supplied as a part of the product. Anyone that chooses not to use a temperature sensor, I don't quite understand why you wouldn't use it. Let the charger do what it does best and compensate for temperature. For every degree above and below 25 degrees Celsius, this charger will adjust the output voltage suited to the temperature, the environment that the battery is in. You can't get better than that. Now the other thing you can do here is go through and set up channel 2 and channel 3. We don't need to do that today, but you get the idea. We're back to our normal window. It's showing us voltage in the system. We're putting in 19.9 amps, remembering I set it to 20 amps, so we're there. And it's showing us that at the moment we're bulk charging. So you would have noticed there the L setting. It's a setting that enables you to adjust the charger in terms of when it transitions from absorption to float. Now I'm sorry for those where I'm sort of losing you, but let me try and explain this as clearly as I can, because it's a feature unique to ePower. And when you understand this feature, it's pretty hard to go past it as a solution. If you're using your charger in applications where there's a load on the battery while the charger is operational, so put simply a powered site, most stuff in our van today runs off 12 volts. You're on a powered site and plugged into mains, but there's still loads on the battery. This charger will transition to float correctly because you need to tell it what common loads are going to be operating. Typically, I'm not talking about stuff that comes on and off like a water pump, but things like your fridge is a fine example. And you tell it by dialing in the current. That's the L setting. If we work out that our fridge draws when running 5.5 amps, we'd go to the next setting above. So we'd select L6. Simply that means when the charger gets down in absorption to 6 amps, it'll transition instantly to float. Does that compromise your battery being 100%? Yeah, your battery might transition to float at 99%. But what's the advantage? I'll tell you the advantage. Absorption voltage is very high. If you've got a continuous load on your battery that's going to be on for a long period of time and your battery's really ready to transition to float, but that load is still remaining on the battery, your charger will struggle to find its path to float because there's a load on the battery. With this feature, your charger will not struggle. What does that mean in simple terms? Your battery is going to last as long as it should, and it's not compromised by a poor quality charger not designed for a mobile power supply type application. So this is applicable to the marine industry, to caravans, to motorhomes, even the back of your four-wheel drive. If you've got one of these fitted in the back of your four-wheel drive and you never turn your fridge off, on the weekend when you're not on site as a tradie, you plug in the garage at home, that's the charger for you. It will support the load without compromising the battery. And that brings me to the next point, power supply. When this charger gets to float mode, it will support any load up to its rating. This is a 40 amp charger. It will remain in float and support a load coming out of your battery up to 40 amps, up to 20 amps for the 20 amp charger. The 60 amp charger will support a load up to 30 amps. And likewise, our 24 volt chargers will support a load up to 30 amps as well. So you really can't want for a better charger. If you've got an application where you require maintaining, or should I say charging more than one battery, this may be the solution for you. You will have noticed in there that there was channel 2 and channel 3. Channel 1 is always your priority. This charger will only maintain, or should I say only charge bank 1 until it gets to float, until the job is done, until it's full. At that point, it'll look to channel 2 and 3 and support those batteries as well. Where would you use that? A fine example would be a boat. You might have port and starboard batteries you wish to maintain, but your priority is the house batteries. Another example is a motorhome. If you want to maintain your engine start battery, but you've also got your house batteries, that's the solution for you. It'll never compromise the house batteries, but while you're plugged into mains, it'll ensure your starting batteries are in peak condition as well. You could also do the same for a generator. And the best thing is, because you can dial the current up and down, if you've got a little battery for a generator, you can dial it down to as low as 5 amps. If you've got a larger battery requirement, you can dial it back up. Different chemistries, not a problem. Different outputs, not a problem. If you're looking for a charger for a caravan, motorhome, boat, four-wheel drive, or anything of that nature, you really can't go past the ePower battery charger. Enerdrive offer the very best in after-sales service. They have an amazing network of people who can assist you Australia-wide. All you need to do is jump on the Enerdrive website, enerdrive.com.au. Otherwise, give the guys in the office a call and we'll see what we can do to help you. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much.